Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We're covering a new one for this channel. It's not a new show, but it is Tyler Perry's Sistas. Now, I used to watch this show, but I was not reviewing any shows at the time. I fell off a long time ago. I do see clips running down the timeline. What got me interested in watching the season is that Mr. Tyler Perry did bring in writers to write for this season, because normally he's writing everything, and I wanted to see what was up. And somebody that I do look up to as a writer, Mr. Jamie Giddens. Uh, if you guys remember the show Ambitions that was on the OWN network a few years back, he was the writer there and showrunner of that series, and I love that show. He writes for Days of Our Lives, the soap opera, and I knew about him beforehand because he would also be like a blogger for soaps, and I remember that name. So that's why I'm really interested, and that's why I decided I'm going to review the season. Thus far, I like some of the pacing. The dialogue is different thus far from what I see. I'm used to like different things like, you did something to me. What did I do? You know what you did. You terrorized me. How did I do that? Like, it'll be these like one line call response. It was, for me, it was like, okay. I do love some of the story because I do cover Fatima. And that is one of the best shows out there, Zach and Fatima. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So I can't wait for them to come back on. They just finished taping their third season. So I'm sure that'll be out in the spring sometime. So anyways, I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like, comment, and share this video. And you can also subscribe if you're not subscribed already. All right, so we begin the episode with Danny. She's having nightmares of her old attacker. She wakes up and and Tony tries to help her out. Danny's just saying, "Oh, it's just a nightmare. I was watching true crime stories and da 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 da," using every excuse. And Tony's really concerned for her. He ends up suggesting therapy. Danny knocks it because she doesn't believe in it. Only one person in her family went to therapy, and it was her uncle, who went to overseas. He was in the army, and he came back kind of out of mind. And she's got this idea that therapy is just for people who are quote unquote crazy. And Tony was like, no, therapy doesn't have to be that. It could be for anxiety. And he named off all of the things. It's always good to talk to someone, and someone that can evaluate what's really going on in your mind and emotions, instead of you trying to deal with it and you really can't deal with it. So Tony says, I go to therapy too. Then Danny tried to use some deflection, like, oh, so you do this? What else do I need to learn about you? So now you're Tony, and then you'll be Anthony. And Tony said, wait, stop it. I know that this is deflection. You did that with Cowboy too. Cowboy's gone. Yeah, he's gone. I knew that there was going to be some recast and cast changes. People were exiting. We just didn't know who. And Cowboy's won. But she's always doing this and trying to be too strong for her own good. All right, so we move on to the next scene. This is with Zach and Fatima. Zach is really anxious to get Michael back. He calls the foster parents that has taken Michael in while Zach and the baby mama go through arbitration. He says that him and Fatima, they tell the foster parent to tell Michael that both him and Fatima love him. He gets off the phone and he just really wants Michael to come home. Hopefully it happens. Fatima reassures him that he will get his son back, especially in the condition that the baby mama left him in, that they found him in. But also Zach just feels like he should be doing more. Really, it's in the court's hands, but Fatima suggests, you can call Andy and just to see what an update for this arbitration. So he says, while she was trying to suggest something about Andy helping, he was suggesting, we should have sex. Zach and Fatima will get it in. Anyway, so Zach ends up calling Andy, and he's saying, well, maybe I need to just set the baby mama up so that she can get caught and lose custody. And Andy encourages him not to do that. Her lawyer could catch on to that. and you will be found in contempt of harassing her. So don't do that. All right, so at Andy's home, she's preparing a meal. She's invited Gary and Penelope over, and of course, Jordan is there also. They do arrive, and they come in, and she's got everything: scallops, I heard salmon, something, all this good stuff. Gary says that when they were together, she wasn't used to her being this great of a host or hostess. And Andy said, well, I guess Jordan brings out the best in me. These people are so crazy and toxic. Ugh. So they're still talking. Penelope's giving her input on the baby that's coming. And Gary just basically says, wait, hold up. Gary just says, I'm not impressed with all the pleasantries, and ask Andy what is the real reason that they are over here. And we'll get into that in just 1 minute. All right, so we move on to Karen and Pam. Karen and Pam are preparing to reopen the shop. There's some things that she wants to get done in the shop, and Pam is suggesting, why don't you call Aaron? And basically she says no. And alludes to the whole relationship that they did have. Aaron's not for her. So I guess Aaron is also gone, I guess. I don't know. But the way that how Aaron and Calvin had hung on to these women, I would have been going, there's no way. Then Pam says, call Zach. And she said, no way, no how. I ain't got time for Fatima being jealous and da-da-da-da-da. And Karen, you have thrown yourself at Zach plenty of times while they were in a relationship. So it's all about you not being able to respect boundaries. And she's going to make sure, as long as she can, get you to respect boundaries. So it's not just some jealousy thing that's going on with Fatima. But that's basically all that they really had. Pam's trying to do some more innovative things for promotion to get people into the store. She said that she's got some things in line that the shop can make a lot of money. Whatever that is, she said that she's not revealing it just yet. All right, so we move on to Sabrina. Sabrina calls Maurice. Sabrina was offered her job back at her old bank branch. Maurice was not. Maurice has been doing some extracurricular activities to try to earn the rent and pay the rent, While they're talking, catching up a little bit, of course, Maurice being as dramatic as he usually is, I'm out of a job, things of that nature. He ends up letting Sabrina know that Calvin left and he moved out of the city. We found out that Calvin is with a white woman. Of course, everyone's shocked and all that. And Maurice was like, well, why did you think that he was going to continue to hang on? You were uncomfortable with his femininity that he did have, as far as liking penetration in the behind and also a little lace here and there. White women they enjoy it. And they're not going to be so judgmental about that. And that's a true statement. Within the Black community, we act like everything is so taboo. Even though a lot of people still do it, but you know that you'll be scorned for it if you actually do like it or participate in something like that. So Rich, the guy that Sabrina has been seeing, stops by, kind of praises her that she got her job back, but really the job should be groveling at their feet after how they treated her. They get to kissing and being romantic, and then he's ready to have sex right there in the job, and Sabrina's like, no, we can't do it here. And then Rich suggests his car, and she said, okay. She was still hesitant at first, but then she did it. I don't know if Sabrina would do it, but I guess she would do it. Oh well. So as they're about to go head to the car, her phone rings, and she answers it, and it's one of her girls that needs to see her. And we'll see which girl that she was actually supposed to be going with. All right, so back to this whole Gary, Andy, Penelope, and Jordan situation. Basically, Andy said, okay, well, let's just clear the air. Of course, our relationship did end, and it wasn't on good terms, blah, 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 blah. I just want to count everything all water under the bridge. I don't have any space for hate. I have love in my life, blah, 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 blah. And Andy's giving some lightweight shade to Gary about how Jordan treats her versus him. Of course, Gary's taking offense to it, but Penelope's like, wait. And Andy's like, no, it's not really about you. It's all in general. It's just how he treats me, even though you did all that. Jordan ends up praising Andy, that's my girl and all that. And maybe you could be looking at the future first lady. Jordan has aspirations to be the mayor of Atlanta. So, of course, Gary has to always flaunt all this money that he has. So then he says, I'm going to make a donation, a contribution to your campaign because I believe so much in you. Just being so, um, what's the word, sarcastic and all that. So he does give it to him and puts it in whatever bank account. And Andy said, that's too generous. But basically, Penelope's like, just keep it, blah, 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 blah. So Tony, he slips and goes to the bathroom and makes a call. Guess who he's calling? It was Sabrina. Once he gets out of the bathroom, he's dressed and telling Danny, I need to go run an errand. And Danny's like, at this hour, why do you need to go run an errand? I just need to do it. I'll be back. So as he's leaving, Sabrina walks in. Or shows up. And basically, Tony calls Sabrina. And Sabrina, we just get the confrontation of, Danny and Sabrina needing, Sabrina is confronting Danny about nightmares in therapy. And that's the end of their scene. We go back to this mess here. Andy, Jordan, and Penelope and Gary. Gary ends up getting upset and supposedly going to the bathroom, but he ends up in Andy's bedroom. And he ends up finding some dirty panties, and he begins to snap them. As the other crew, they're making lightweight talk, all that good stuff. Penelope then gets up to go check on Gary. While she's gone, Andy tells Jordan, you ought to be careful with Gary and what he's trying to give you. He gives people lavish gifts and will try to control them from personal experience. Jordan says that he's not worried and all that good stuff. I got you to protect me, blah, 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 blah. So Penelope goes to find Gary, and we find him masturbating with the panties. So that's how we end the episode. That is very interesting, very sick of Gary, especially since you have this fiance that you got pregnant. Quite interesting. It's wild and wacky. Yeah, some things have moved along since I last seen it, but at least consistently watched it. I'm glad Karen's over her obsession and stopped trying to get back with Zach and being miserable. She's in a state that she's trying to find herself. And then with being pregnant, she doesn't know what she should do, unfortunately. But that's all I do have. You can leave your comments below of any of the storylines that took place. How you guys are liking the storylines, the writing. We do know that there was a new Jordan that's been recasted. We lost a few people, but that is what it is. I mean, we're in the 7th season. And for stories to move on, some people need to move on. So some people I'm used to, and I'm just sad that they're gone, but hey, that's life. Anyways, I do appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. Until the next one, peace.